For today's recipe, I will be using this chicken. I will be cutting this into pieces, and each part will have their own special recipe that I will be presenting to you all. Here are the ingredients: ginger, sayote. This is also known as merleton and some other name I cannot remember, some type of squash. Garlic, celery tops. I will be including this with the broth that I am now allowing to simmer on the stove, as well as this pepper. Look how tiny these peppers are. But my granddaughter Jasmine had picked this. She took so much time to picking this for me, and I'm not about to just let my chicken have a feast on this. I'm actually going to use this, throw this with the broth that I'm making to impart that good peppery flavor. And I also have onions. I will not be using this entire onion. And I have some bok choy. These garlic are for the broth. I'm just cutting it in half so that I could expose the aromatic inside. And I'm going to put it straight to my chicken broth. It's out of range, out of the frame, but it's at the back of my stove. I will also add, so I have celery and garlic along with my the back part of the chicken and the breast. I have the celery tops. Now I have added garlic, and now I'm going to add the onion and bell peppers. I also seasoned it with salt, and I am going to add some black peppers for that broth. I was just going to keep on the preparation, but I realized this might be a help for those who had never used this type of vegetable. I cut this end in order to give me a more stable position here, and I just press down on it to cut it in half right in the middle. See right there, that spot. Stick the knife in there, and when you cut it open in the middle is the seed. The easiest way to get the seed out is cutting in half and then quarter it, and you could proceed to take that seed in the middle of the vegetable, which is sayote. Okay, just run your knife through there. Be very careful. This knife is very sharp, and I'm trying to be very careful here. So that's the seed part, and this is the other half of the seed. And take some of those peel that was left there. It can't hurt. I've seen people eat them, cook with them, and leave some of the peel, and it's really a very delicate peel, but I just don't want to leave it there, so scrape some of that off, and there it is. We'll cut that again, and so here are the ingredients for our soup today. I have my cut up chicken, ginger, garlic, onion, chopped sayote or merleton, and bok choy. These are baby bok choys. Now, there's no specific measurement for soup, at least this type of soup that I'm going to prepare today. You really must add your ingredients according to your taste. Okay, some people note how I cut the chickens. I cut through the bones to expose the marrow. You see, by cutting through the bone and exposing the marrow, it gives your soup a much richer chicken flavor. So if you could, you would not find it a cumbersome process, this is a good way to cut your chicken. Expose the marrow. So that about a tablespoon of light olive oil, and we are going to saute our ingredients here. Yes, I guess it's hot enough. So I'm going to start with the first aromatic, which is garlic. I'm going to saute this until it's almost golden brown. Easy with your heat when you're sauteing the garlic. You don't want it to burn. But I do like my garlic slightly golden brown before I add the next ingredients, which would be my ginger. Okay, so it is starting to turn golden brown. I'm going to add the ginger and allow it to saute until very aromatic. The key to a very good flavor of this soup is to really saute your three main ingredients, and that is the garlic, the ginger, and the onions. Those are the three aromatics which would really give this soup its own unique flavor. Okay, so things are turning golden brown. I'm going to add my onion. Saute the onion very well until it's translucent before you add your next component. So the onion is translucent, ginger and garlic are golden brown. Now we are going to add the chicken. We are going to give it a little time to partially cook and brown. Then we'll go ahead and start adding the rest of the ingredients. Okay. Put that there. Now, let's add. I lightly season the chicken with salt. Now I'm going to add a little bit of cracked black pepper. Now easy on a black pepper, because remember, ginger is spicy, and I do like it spicy, but depending on your taste, you season it with black pepper according to your taste. Okay, so now I'm going to let this simmer a little bit until the chicken is slightly cooked, and then we're going to proceed with the next step. Okay, so chicken are browned. Now we are going to add our homemade broth, which I made with the bony part of the chicken, which is the backbone, and I have the chicken breast in there as well. So back here, let me show you that. Back there, as you can see, this is the broth that I made using the backbone and, you know, the bony part of the chicken, and I have the chicken breast in there, which I am going to use for another recipe. I am going to scoop up all the broth and put it into my soup. Okay, let's get closer. I'm using my measuring cup because it's a lot easier to scoop as much of this broth as I can. Most of us catch cold because of this rainy season, so this will help us immune ourselves. I guess that should be a good amount of soup. And put that back here again. Now we got the chicken broth added to my chicken soup, and we are going to just let it simmer until the meat is very tender. Okay, let's cover it, bring it to a boil, and then we'll add the remaining ingredients. Okay, the chicken is almost very tender. Now is when I'm going to add my sayote. I'm going to give this sayote a chance to become tender, and then I will go ahead and start adding my baby bok choy. Now I like to add this part of baby bok choy first, the stem. Takes a little longer to cook than the tender leaves. So I put this in first, give it about 30 seconds probably, more or less. Once the sayote is almost completely tender, and it should be very close to getting done by then. Okay, so as a matter of fact, let me give it a taste for salt. It's always a good idea to taste the seasoning. It is very, very good right now. Actually, delicious. But since I just added the sayote, I would like to sprinkle a little bit more salt to season the vegetable so that we don't dilute the flavor of the soup. Okay, so let's check our vegetables. I'm gonna start with the sayote, and as you can see, it's nice and tender. Slight, very, very slight resistance to it, which is just right, because I'm still going to give it a little more time to continue cooking because I have to add the leaves. And as far as the baby bok choy, it's also getting tender, and I'd like to have a little crunch on my baby bok choy. So this is the right time for me to add the leafy part of the baby bok choy. A slight pinch of salt, and now to just allow it to continue simmering until the vegetable is just the right consistency and tenderness that you would like it to be. Okay, the next step would be serving it. To stay true to the origin of this soup, I decided to serve some rice with a bowl of the soup we just made, and I do have some of my homemade bread, which is, if you chose not to have rice, you can eat the soup with your bread or just the soup alone. Either way, this soup is delicious and a true pick-me-up soup when you're feeling a little under the weather. So I hope you try this recipe.